Hey, what's up, everybody? Kevin D TV back in full effect, and today I'm breaking down Avengers Endgame. Now, I must admit, a friend of mine and I was having a conversation about this, and he was pretty much telling me how he didn't really like the flow of the movie because it was real, kind of like a, slow pace, unlike Infinity War, when it was just nonstop action from beginning to end. But I tried to break down to him the only reason why it was like that because everybody in their own way, from the Avengers to the Guardians of the Galaxy and everybody else trying to stop Thanos. So but of course, we get into the beginning of it. Tony Stark is with Nebula and they trying to get back to Earth. Of course, Captain Marvel comes and saves them. And Tony's out of his mind because they lost and actually not only did they lose, they lost on a real grand scale. Now half the life in the universe is gone. It's like there's nothing they can really do about it. So Tony pretty much going off at Captain America because we all know the story. Because they weren't getting along at first anyway, and he said, if we lose together. And you weren't there, so they just started going crazy, and they had to give him the sedatives, and you know, and Captain Marvel was like, I'm gonna go kill Thanos, and they was like, no, we do things together. Black Widow was like, we do things together, which is the truth. Then of course, they all go up there trying to stop Thanos, and Thanos is chilling in his garden, like in the comic book, at the end of the Infinity Gauntlet. Those of y'all who know about the original story, the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, which I thought was a real crazy story because, I mean, compared to the movie, it's just like one person that I listened to said, if they did that like they did the comic book, whew, it wouldn't have been for kids, for real. It would not have been. But, Thanos, and I must admit, this part where Thanos gets rid of the stones by using the stones by destroying the stones, destroying the stones by using the stones. I thought that was a little bit of lazy writing because I'm like they could have found a better way to do that. I thought that was lazy writing to be honest with you, but it is what it is. And of course they find out that they ain't nothing they can do about it. So Thor kills Thanos like he was supposed to in Infinity War, and that's part of the reason why he was all depressed and out of his mind. 5 years go by. You know, Captain America, the noble person that he is, he tried to bring people together in meetings just like he saw Sam Wilson do, when he first met him in the Winter Soldier. So, he tried to do the same thing, trying to cope, having people cope with what happened and everything like that, you know. And then, of course, we all know Ant-Man comes back and then he goes to Avengers headquarters and he tells Black Widow and Captain America, like, hey, you ever heard of the quantum realm? And, and stuff like that. And, anybody who knows the movie, we all know the movie, we all seen it. But at the end of the day, he comes, they pretty much find a way to get back you know, and Nebula, and everybody, and they all find out they're trying to bring everybody back. I mean, I'm doing like a real, like, brief breakdown of it because we all seen it, we all know what it is, and there ain't really nothing as far as like a, like a hidden message. The real hidden message was in Infinity War. See, that was just a continuation of Infinity War, and whether people want to realize it or not, Thanos is pretty much one of the only villains, actually the only villain that I know of, that actually won in the movie. I mean, because you got to think about this. Even though they reversed everything and took out Thanos, the bottom line is, in reality, he still did win. Because at the end of the day, they didn't stop him in the present. They had to go back to the past. That's different. You know what I'm saying? Now I had at the first part of the movie, like they tried to go to the garden and try to take the gauntlet off his hand by chopping his hand off and all that. And notice that the stones were gone. And it was like you can kind of tell already because before Thanos showed his face, you can see how scarred up it was. It wasn't like that when he, at the end of Infinity War when he sat down at the garden and he sat there and was like, I finally did it. Like, what I'm saying? He didn't look like that when he sat down there at first. Now, you saw his hand, smoking and everything. You can tell he was hurt, you know what I'm saying, from all the, battling he was doing with everybody. But he did not look that scarred. So you can tell that by the way he was and how weak he was, that at the end of the day, he had done something on a grander scale. And that's what Rocket was saying before they went ahead and go get him. He was like, well, when Thanos snapped his fingers, it caused an energy, source or something like that, that was out of this world. And until and nobody never seen anything like it until 2 days later on this planet, you know. So, and then you see the scars on his face. You know what I'm saying? You can tell that he done did something, to a grand scale to what he did, on Earth. So at the end of the day, and that's another reason too how they were able to subdue him, because you seem to in Infinity War and at the end of Endgame when he was still at his full strength, nobody could really nobody could really oppose him one on one. That's why I had to take like pretty much an whole army, because just like even without the Infinity Gauntlet, what I'm saying, he would have been able to like fight off the Avengers and and the Guardians of the Galaxy with no problem, but at the end of the day, for the same reason why the Hulk, had his arm burnt, and at the end, as we all know, Tony Stark, ended up dying from it because, the power of the gauntlet was just too much for the average person. So when Doctor Strange, looked at him and gave him that, hey, this is the one chance that I was talking about, you know what I'm saying? And, that look Tony had on his face, like, damn, okay, now I know I got to sacrifice myself in order to get this done. And think about it, that glove that Thanos was using was Tony's shit. Excuse my language, but it was Tony's technology with it, that he created the glove. So it only made sense that he was able to take them stones off this thing, off the glove, because, unlike the gauntlet that he had, that Eitri, from Nidavellir, made, this one was made by Tony Stark. So it only made sense that he'd be the one that, that's why when Doctor Strange, no, not Doctor Strange. That's why before Thanos was about to kill Tony in Infinity War, that's when Doctor Strange was like, stop, spare his life, and I give you the stone. And he gave him the stone, and that's why later on, when Bruce Banner was talking to the Ancient One, when he was like, well, why the hell did Strange give it away to begin with? She was like, willingly? He was like, yeah. And she was like, damn, okay. Because she was like, Strange was meant to be the best of us. So bottom line is that he did it for a reason. He knew that this, and we seem to forget that infamous scene where he was, looking forward in time. 14,605,000, or how many did we win? One. So he knew, just like he told Tony before he got dusted, he was like, there was no other way. And then he got dusted. But he knew that this was temporary. You know what I mean? As long as Tony was alive, he would be the one to find a way. Because even with Ant-Man, he was the one that was connected to the quantum realm, but Tony was the one that was able to manipulate it to the point where they were able to travel through time. Because you see, when they were trying to do it themselves, before Tony came in the picture, we all saw that funny scene how Ant-Man was turning, from a teenager to an old dude to a baby and then back to himself. And that's when Tony came and was like, why the long face? Let me guess, Scott turned into a baby. Which, I thought was funny. But, I liked the movie, even though it was a more slow-paced movie, but I understood. Because, this is 5 years later. Everybody's pretty much distraught in their own way about what's going on, and even though people are trying to keep it moving, like Hawkeye, Barton, he was going crazy, turning into Ronin and just started, killing folks, just because he was upset that his whole family got dusted. And I don't blame him, but that ain't justify him going and just killing people for the sake of killing people, because that wasn't Hawkeye, So, but, and then Thor, and that was funny how, and it made sense with Thor. Like, some people used to tell me, people were telling me, like, why would they make Thor fat, And especially some of the ladies I talked to, because they was all used to him, with his, Chris Hemsworth with his physique and all that. They was just used to seeing him in the previous films, just showing all that off. So when they showed him fat, I was kind of laughing because I'm like, anybody who knows Thor all the way back from the first one, when he was hanging with Eric Selvig, what are they doing, drinking beer? You know what I'm saying? And just like when he came to Doctor Strange wondering what happened to Loki and what he wanted with him, he was like, tea? He's like, I don't drink tea. He's like, what do you drink? He's like, not tea. But, pretty much why I'm going all over the place with this is because at the end of the game, Endgame was, pretty much, the ending of, the 11 years that we have been watching these movies from the first Iron Man all the way till now. So, and as anybody that know my channel knows that at the end of the day, I always try to give you the overall hidden message that they trying to show in the movie. which they didn't really do with Endgame, because like I said, the real message was in Infinity War. Excuse me. And that's where, like I was saying in my very first video about Infinity War, about how, they pretty much use all them elements against us, time, reality, space, the mind, soul, and all that, and everything else, and power. So with that being said, that was more, of the message than it was an Endgame. Endgame was just a continuation, of that message, and then them trying to reverse it, But in reality, as far as us are concerned, I don't, and I hate to say it, but I don't think we're really going to be able to reverse anything, because there's not enough of us to be able to do it, and those of us who are trying to do it are most likely going to get smacked down because there are not too many of us. But at the end of the day, I still move on and try to, show people what it is, because at the end of the day, whether it's Marvel or in Marvel movies or any other movies, in between, they always try to show you some kind of hidden message in it, And I'm gonna watch Endgame again, and if there's anything that I missed, which I'm pretty sure I did, because it's a 3-hour flick, ain't no way in hell that I can be able to really, look at all the elements, in a 3-hour flick, and then two, I haven't seen it in a minute, so I would have to go back on it again. But I just wanted to give a brief, breakdown of the of Endgame, because I know this was the video I was supposed to make, like months ago. But as I explained in my last video on Sunday, family problems, and then my mom and her seizures, and then with me having my side business with my partner, and we having our jobs and everything, trying to finish up for the season, time was just very hectic for me. But anyway, I hope y'all like this. And like I said, this is only like a brief breakdown, because Endgame, like I said, I look at movies for more the overall message. And I'll say it one more time. That was an Infinity War. So in any event, I hope y'all like this video. If so, give a thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll catch y'all on the next video. Peace and love, y'all.